The sleek silver spaceship glided smoothly into the docking bay of the Galactic Academy. Its engines hummed softly as it touched down, a stark contrast to the excited chatter of the alien students and faculty gathered to witness the arrival of their newest exchange student. As the ship's doors hissed open, a hush fell over the crowd. They craned their necks, tentacles, and various sensory appendages, eager to catch a glimpse of the legendary Deathworlder they had heard so much about. Zara stepped out, her boots making a solid thud on the metal floor. She was shorter than many of the aliens present, but her muscular frame and confident stance made her presence impossible to ignore. The young human soldier's dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her brown eyes scanned the room with a mixture of curiosity and caution. The alien onlookers gasped and murmured among themselves. Some recoiled slightly, while others leaned in for a closer look. Zara's skin was a tapestry of scars, some faded and white, others still pink and newer. To the aliens, used to their own smooth or scaled exteriors, these marks were both fascinating and horrifying. Professor Xylith, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin, stepped forward to greet the newcomer. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy, Zora of Earth," they said, their translator converting the clicks and whistles of their native language into something Zora could understand. "We are honored to have you join our exchange program." Zora nodded, offering a small smile. "Thank you, Professor. I'm excited to be here and learn from you all." As Xylith led Zara towards the main building, the crowd parted, giving the human a wide berth. Zara couldn't help but notice the mix of fear, awe, and curiosity in their eyes, or eye stalks, or whatever sensory organs they possessed. "Is something wrong?" Zara asked, glancing at a group of student aliens who were whispering and pointing at her. Xylith's skin rippled with what Zara guessed was discomfort. "Please forgive their behavior. You are the first human. The first Deathworlder. Many of them have seen in person. Your physical appearance is quite different from what they're used to." Zara raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" Before Xylith could answer, a small gelatinous alien oozed forward, its body quivering with excitement. "Excuse me," it burbled, "but are those really battle scars? Did you fight ferocious beasts on your homeworld?" Zara chuckled, caught off guard by the alien's enthusiasm. "Some of them, yes. Others are from training or accidents. On Earth, it's not uncommon for people to have scars." The alien's body rippled with what seemed to be awe. "Incredible. You must be the toughest species in the galaxy." Xylith quickly ushered the curious student away, but Zara could see the questions burning in the eyes of the other aliens. She realized that her presence here was going to be more challenging and interesting than she had initially thought. As they entered the main hall of the academy, Zora's breath caught in her throat. The ceiling soared impossibly high, adorned with holographic displays of star systems and alien worlds. Students of all shapes, sizes, and colors moved through the space, some flying, others slithering or rolling. "This will be your home for the next galactic standard year," Xylith explained. "You'll attend classes, participate in cultural exchange programs, and help us understand more about your species and homeworld." Zara nodded, trying to take it all in. "I'm honored to represent Earth here. I hope I can live up to your expectations." Xylith's skin shimmered with what Zara was beginning to recognize as their version of a smile. "I'm sure you will, Zara. But I must warn you, you may find some of our customs and beliefs quite different from your own, just as we find you fascinating." As if to emphasize Xylith's point, a group of faculty members approached, their eyes, or equivalent organs, fixed on Zora's scars. One of them, a being that looked like a cross between a centipede and a crystal, spoke up. "Remarkable," it said, its voice a melodious chime. "To think that a species could evolve on such a dangerous world and not only survive but thrive. Tell me, young human, do all of your kind bear such marks of survival?" Zara felt a surge of pride mixed with a touch of defensiveness. "Not all, but many do. On Earth, we see scars as a sign of experience and resilience. They tell the story of our lives. The alien faculty members exchanged glances, clearly intrigued and slightly perplexed by this concept. Zara could almost see the gears turning in their alien minds, trying to reconcile this warrior-like mindset with their own peaceful existence. As Stylith guided Zara towards her quarters, the human soldier couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. She was an ambassador for her species, a representative of Earth in this vast galactic community. And judging by the reactions she'd seen so far, she had a lot of work ahead of her to bridge the gap between her Deathworld upbringing and the peaceful cosmos she now found herself in. Little did Zara know, her presence at the Galactic Academy was about to challenge not only the aliens' perceptions of humans, but also her own understanding of what it meant to be a warrior in a universe full of diversity and wonder. Zara's first week at the Galactic Academy was a whirlwind of new experiences. She found herself constantly amazed by the diversity of life forms around her. But nothing prepared her for the cultural shock that awaited her in Professor Zilks's interspecies communication class. The classroom was a large, circular space with hovering seats arranged in tiers. Zara sat near the front, trying to ignore the curious stares from her alien classmates. Professor Zilks, a tall, spindly being with 4 arms and eyes that changed color with their mood, stood at the center. "Today," Zilks announced, their eyes a bright yellow of excitement, "we have a unique opportunity. Our new student from Earth has agreed to share some of her experiences with us. Zara, would you please come down here?" Zara nodded and made her way to the center of the room. She stood straight, her military training evident in her posture. "Now, Zara," Zilks said, "I understand that humans have a custom of celebrating their injuries. Could you explain this strange ritual to us?" Zora blinked, caught off guard by the question. "Well, we don't exactly celebrate injuries," she began, "but we do take pride in our scars. They're like stories written on our skin." A murmur of confusion rippled through the class. A blob-like student raised a pseudopod. "But why would you want to remember pain?" it burbled. Zara thought for a moment. "It's not about the pain. It's about what we overcame. Each scar is a reminder that we faced a challenge and survived." She rolled up her sleeve, revealing a long scar on her forearm. "This one, for example, I got it during a training exercise. It reminds me of how much I've improved since then." The class leaned in, a mix of fascination and horror on their alien faces. Professor Zilks's eyes had turned a deep blue of concern. "But surely," Zilks said, "such disfigurements are distressing. On most worlds, we have advanced medical technology to prevent scarring." Zara felt a flash of annoyance. "They're not disfigurements," she said, her voice firm. "They're badges of honor, proof of our resilience." The tension in the room was palpable. Zara realized she might have spoken too harshly. She took a deep breath, reminding herself that these beings had never encountered a species like humans before. "Look," she said, softening her tone, "I know it might seem strange to you, but on Earth, we face many dangers. Our planet can be harsh. We've had to become tough to survive. Our scars are a part of that toughness." A small feathered alien raised a wing. "But why not avoid danger altogether? Surely that would be wiser." Zara smiled. "Sometimes, yes, but humans believe that facing challenges helps us grow. We have a saying, 'What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.'" The class erupted in shocked whispers. Professor Zilks's eyes had turned a deep purple of confusion. "Are you saying," Zilks asked slowly, "that humans deliberately seek out potentially fatal situations for personal growth?" Zara realized she might have said too much. "Well, not exactly. We don't go looking for death, but we don't shy away from challenges either." She looked around the room, seeing the mix of fear, confusion, and fascination on the alien faces. For the first time, Zara truly understood how different she was from her classmates. "Maybe I can explain it better with an example," she said. "On Earth, we have sports. Games we play for fun and competition. Many of these can be dangerous, but we play them anyway because they teach us teamwork, strategy, and how to push our limits. A crystalline beam chimed in. But why risk harm for mere entertainment? Zara grinned. Because it's exciting. Because overcoming a challenge, even in a game, feels good. It's hard to explain if you haven't experienced it. Professor Zilks's eyes had shifted to a swirling mix of colors. This is most enlightening, Zara. Though I fear it raises more questions than it answers. As Zara returned to her seat, she could hear the buzz of conversation around her. She had given her classmates a lot to think about, but she also realized she had a lot to learn about their cultures too. Later that day, as Zara walked through the academy's gardens, she overheard a group of students talking excitedly. Did you hear? The human says they play games that could kill them. I heard they fight dangerous beasts for fun. No wonder they're called Deathworlders. They must be the toughest species in the galaxy. Zara sighed. It seemed she had some misconceptions to clear up. But as she looked up at the alien sky, with its unfamiliar stars and swirling nebulae, she couldn't help but smile. This exchange program was going to be more challenging and more interesting than she had ever imagined. The news of Zara's unique perspective on scars and challenges spread quickly through the Galactic Academy. Some students were fascinated, others were terrified, but all were curious about the human Deathworlder in their midst. One sunny morning, as Zara was practicing her morning exercises in the Academy's anti-gravity gym, she noticed a group of alien students watching her. Among them was Crix, a tall, muscular being with iridescent scales and 4 powerful arms. Crix had a reputation as the Academy's top athlete. Crix slithered forward, his scales shimmering with a mix of curiosity and competitiveness. So, human, he said, his voice a low hiss, I hear your kind enjoys challenges. Zara wiped sweat from her brow and nodded. That's right. It's how we improve ourselves. Crix's eyes narrowed. Then perhaps you'd be interested in a little competition. To see how a Deathworlder measures up against the best the galaxy has to offer. The other students gasped. Challenging a Deathworlder. It was unheard of. Zara hesitated. She knew she had to be careful. Her actions here didn't just reflect on her, but on all of humanity. What kind of competition did you have in mind? Crix grinned, showing rows of sharp teeth. The Galactic Pentathlon. 5 events that test strength, speed, endurance, agility, and mental prowess. What do you say, human? Are you up for a real challenge? Zara's heart raced. Part of her wanted to accept immediately, to show these aliens what humans were capable of. But she remembered her diplomatic training. That sounds interesting, Crix. But I'd need to know more about the events and get approval from the Academy staff. We wouldn't want any misunderstandings. Crix looked disappointed, but nodded. Fair enough. I'll speak with Professor Xylith about arranging it officially, unless you're afraid. Zara smiled, a glint in her eye. Not afraid, Crix. Just cautious. But if we get approval, you're on. As Crix slithered away, the other students burst into excited chatter. Zara could hear snippets of their conversations. A human against Crix. Impossible. But she's a Deathworlder. She might win. This is going to be the most exciting event of the cycle. Later that day, Zara was called to Professor Xylith's office. The willowy alien looked concerned, their skin shimmering with worry. Zara, Xylith said, I understand Crix has challenged you to the Galactic Pentathlon. Are you aware of what this entails? Zara shook her head. Not really, Professor. I was hoping you could tell me more. Xylith sighed, a sound like rustling leaves. The pentathlon is a series of extreme tests. The strength event involves lifting enormous weights in high gravity. The speed test is a race through a hazardous obstacle course. Endurance requires surviving in hostile environments. Agility is tested in a zero-gravity maze. And the mental challenge, well, It's different for each participant, targeting their deepest fears. Zara listened, her excitement growing with each description. This sounded like the ultimate test of her abilities. I must warn you, Silith continued, no one has ever beaten Crix in the pentathlon. And as our first human student, your safety is our primary concern. Perhaps it would be best if you declined the challenge. Zara thought for a moment. She knew the wise thing would be to back down, but she also knew this was a chance to show the true strength of humanity. Professor, she said slowly, I understand your concerns, but this is exactly the kind of challenge humans thrive on. It's not just about winning. It's about pushing our limits, about showing what we're capable of when faced with adversity. Silith's skin rippled with surprise. You actually want to participate, even knowing the risks. Zara nodded firmly. I do. And I promise to be careful. This isn't just about me. It's a chance to bridge the gap between our species, to show that humans can compete on a galactic level. Silith was quiet for a long moment. Finally, they spoke. Very well, Zara. I'll approve the challenge. But please be cautious. And remember, there's no shame in conceding if things become too dangerous. As Zara left the office, she felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She had just committed to the biggest challenge of her life. But as she walked through the halls of the academy, seeing the mix of awe and curiosity in the eyes of her alien classmates, she knew she had made the right choice. This was her chance to show the galaxy what humanity was made of, and she was determined not to let her species down. The news of Zara's acceptance of Crix's challenge spread through the Galactic Academy like wildfire. The once quiet halls now buzzed with excitement and speculation. Everywhere Zara went, she could feel the eyes of her alien classmates following her, filled with a mix of awe, curiosity, and concern. Determined to prove herself, Zara threw herself into her training with renewed vigor. Every morning, she woke up before the Academy's artificial sun had even begun to glow, making her way to the anti-gravity gym. One morning, as Zara was in the middle of her workout, she noticed a group of alien students watching her from the entrance. Among them was Blip, a small blobby alien with multiple eyes that blinked in sequence. Excuse me, Zara, Blip said, its voice a series of bubbling sounds. We were wondering, is this how all humans prepare for challenges? Zara wiped the sweat from her brow and smiled. Well, not all humans, but many of us believe in pushing our limits to improve. She demonstrated a set of push-ups, her muscles straining against the increased gravity she had set for herself. The aliens watched in fascination, their eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, wide with disbelief. But why do you hurt yourself to get stronger? Asked another student, a tall, willowy being with leaves for hair. Zara stood up, considering how to explain. It's not about hurting ourselves. It's about adaptation. On Earth, we have a saying, no pain, no gain. It means that to improve, we often have to push through discomfort. The aliens murmured among themselves, clearly struggling to understand this concept. As the days passed, rumors about Zara's abilities began to circulate. Some students claimed they had seen her lift impossibly heavy weights. Others swore they had witnessed her running at incredible speeds. The stories grew more exaggerated with each retelling. I heard humans can regrow lost limbs. One student whispered. Well, I heard they can survive in the vacuum of space without a suit. Another countered. Zara found these rumors amusing, but also a bit concerning. She didn't want to be seen as some sort of invincible super being. That would only make it harder for her to connect with her classmates. Meanwhile, Crix was also preparing for the challenge. Zara often saw him in the gym, his forearms a blur as he worked out. Despite their upcoming competition, Zara felt a grudging respect for the alien athlete. He was clearly taking this seriously. One day, as they passed each other in the gym, Crix stopped her. Human, he said, his scales shimmering with a mix of colors Zara couldn't quite interpret. I hope you're preparing well. I want this to be a fair fight. Zara nodded. I am. And I appreciate that, Crix. May the best being win. As the day of the galactic pentathlon drew nearer, Professor Xylith called Zara to their office once again. The willowy alien skin was a swirl of concerned colors. Zara, Xylith said, I've been studying human physiology to better understand your capabilities and limitations. I must say, your species is remarkably adaptable. Zara smiled. Thank you, Professor. We've had to be, given the challenges of our homeworld. Xylith's colors shifted to a deep blue. Yes, about that. I'm concerned about the mental challenge portion of the pentathlon. It's designed to target a being's deepest fears. Given what I've learned about Earth, I fear it might be particularly difficult for you. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. What do you mean, Professor? Xylith hesitated. The challenges are tailored to each participant. For a human from a death world, as you call it, well, I can only imagine what fears you might have faced. Zara nodded slowly, understanding the implications. I appreciate your concern, Professor, but facing our fears is also part of human nature. I'll be ready. As Zara left the office, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. The physical challenges she could handle, but the mental challenge, that could be trickier. Back in her quarters, Zara sat down and began to meditate, a practice she had learned to calm her mind before difficult missions. As she closed her eyes, she thought about Earth, about the challenges she had faced, and about what it meant to represent humanity here in the stars. Whatever the galactic pentathlon threw at her, she would face it head-on. Not just for herself, but for all of humanity. She was determined to show the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. The day of the galactic pentathlon arrived, and the entire academy was buzzing with excitement. The event was being held in the massive central arena, which had been transformed to accommodate the various challenges. Alien students and faculty from all corners of the galaxy had gathered to witness the showdown between Zara, the human Deathworlder, and Crix, the reigning champion. Zara stood at the entrance, taking deep breaths to calm her nerves. She could hear the murmur of the crowd, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and other alien sounds. As she stepped into the arena, a hush fell over the audience. Professor Xylith's voice boomed through the speakers. Welcome to the Galactic Pentathlon. Today, we witness a historic event. The first human participant, Zara, challenging our champion, Crix. The crowd erupted in a mix of cheers and curious murmurs. Zara locked eyes with Crix across the arena. The four-armed alien nodded respectfully, his scales shimmering with anticipation. The first challenge, strength, Xylith announced. Zara and Crix approached a massive gravity platform. The goal was to lift a series of increasingly heavy objects while the gravity intensified. Crix went first, his forearms straining as he lifted object after object. He made it through 8 levels before finally faltering. As Zara stepped up, she could feel the increased gravity pulling at her. She gritted her teeth and began lifting. The crowd watched in amazement as she matched Crix level for level. On the 9th level, her muscles screaming in protest, she managed to lift the final object, securing a narrow victory. Incredible, Xylith exclaimed. Zara takes the first challenge. Next came the speed test. Zara and Crix had to navigate a complex obstacle course filled with moving barriers, gravity shifts, and holographic hazards. Crix's forearms and natural agility gave him an early lead, but Zara's intense training paid off. She pushed herself to the limit, her human endurance allowing her to maintain top speed throughout the course. She crossed the finish line just seconds before Crix. The endurance challenge proved to be the most difficult yet. Zara and Crix were placed in separate environmental chambers that simulated harsh conditions, extreme heat, cold, toxic atmospheres. The conditions changed rapidly, testing their ability to adapt. Zara drew on her military training, controlling her breathing and staying focused. Hours passed, and both competitors showed impressive resilience. Finally, As the chamber simulated the vacuum of space, Crix signaled his surrender. Zara, pushing through the pain, held on for a few seconds longer, securing her third victory. The agility test took place in a zero-gravity maze. Here, Crix's extra arms gave him a clear advantage. He navigated the twisting passages with grace, while Zara struggled to adjust to the lack of gravity. Despite her best efforts, Crix completed the maze first, evening the score. As they prepared for the final challenge, the mental test, the arena was thick with tension. Zara and Crix were led to two separate pods, where they would face their deepest fears. Inside her pod, Zara found herself back on Earth, in the middle of a war zone. The sounds of gunfire and explosions filled the air. She saw her fellow soldiers falling around her, heard their cries for help. Her heart raced, her palms sweated. But then she remembered. This wasn't real. It was a test. Zara closed her eyes, steadied her breathing. She recalled her training, her experiences. Yes, she had seen horrors, but she had also seen incredible acts of bravery and kindness. She focused on why she fought, not for glory, but to protect others, to make a difference. Opening her eyes, Zara faced the illusory battlefield with renewed determination. She began moving, helping her fallen comrades, organizing a defense. As she worked, the chaotic scene around her began to fade. Meanwhile, the audience watched in awe as holographic displays showed Zara and Crix's progress. They saw Zara's heart rate spike, then gradually slow as she mastered her fear. Crix, too, seemed to be wrestling with his own demons. After what seemed like hours, both pods opened. Zara and Crix emerged, looking shaken but determined. The arena fell silent, waiting for the results. Professor Xylith's voice rang out, filled with excitement. After analyzing their performances in the mental challenge, I am pleased to announce that the winner of this year's Galactic Pentathlon is Zara of Earth. The crowd erupted in cheers and astonished exclamations. Zara stood there, stunned for a moment, before a wide smile spread across her face. She had done it. She had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of. As the reality of her victory sank in, Zara turned to Crix, extending her hand in a gesture of respect. Crix looked at her hand for a moment, then grasped it with two of his own, his scales shimmering with a new color. The days following the Galactic Pentathlon were a whirlwind for Zara. Her victory had turned her into an overnight sensation at the Academy. Everywhere she went, alien students and faculty members stopped to congratulate her or ask questions about Earth and humanity. One afternoon, as Zara was having lunch in the Academy's multi-species cafeteria, she noticed a group of alien students hesitantly approaching her table. Among them were Blip, the bloody alien, and Zix, a crystalline being who sparkled in the artificial light. "May we join you, Zara?" Blip asked, its multiple eyes blinking nervously. Zara smiled warmly. "Of course. Please, sit down." As the aliens settled around the table, an awkward silence fell. Finally, Zix spoke up, its voice a melodious chime. "Zara, we wanted to apologize." Surprised, Zara tilted her head. "Apologize? For what?" Blip's body rippled with what Zara had learned was embarrassment. "For how we thought about you. About humans. We believed the stories about Deathworlders being, well, dangerous and uncivilized." Zara nodded slowly, understanding dawning. "And now?" Zix's crystalline structure shimmered. "Now we see that we were wrong. The way you faced those challenges, especially the mental one, it was inspiring." "Yeah," another student chimed in, a gas-based being whose form swirled with excited colors. "How did you do it? Weren't you scared?" Zara thought for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "Of course I was scared. Humans feel fear just like any other species, but we've learned to face our fears, to push through them." The aliens leaned in, fascinated. Zara continued, "You see, on Earth, we face dangers every day. Natural disasters, conflicts, even our own technology can be risky. But we don't let that stop us from living, from exploring, from growing. Is that why you have all those scars? Blip asked, then immediately retracted its eye stalks, worried it had been too forward. Zara laughed softly. Partly, yes. Each scar tells a story. This one, she pointed to a long scar on her arm, I got while rescuing a child from a burning building. And this, she touched a small scar near her eye, from my first spacewalk training. The aliens gasped in awe. Zix's crystalline body vibrated with excitement. So, your scars are like badges of honor. Exactly. Zora beamed. They're reminders of challenges we've overcome, lessons we've learned. They show that we've lived, that we've pushed our limits. As the conversation flowed, more students gathered around, eager to hear Zora's stories. She told them about Earth's diverse ecosystems, about human adventures in space, and about the resilience of her species in the face of adversity. Later that day, Professor Xylith called Zara to their office. The willowy alien skin was shimmering with a mix of colors Zora had never seen before. Zara, Xylith began, their voice filled with emotion. I must confess something to you. When you first arrived, I had my doubts. I feared that a Deathworlder might be too dangerous, too unpredictable for our peaceful academy. Zara nodded, understanding. She had suspected as much from the professor's initial cautious behavior. Xylith continued, their colors shifting to a warm golden hue. But you have proven me wrong in the most wonderful way. Your performance in the pentathlon was impressive, yes, but it's your attitude, your willingness to connect with others, that has truly amazed me. The professor's form seemed to straighten, growing taller. You've taught us all a valuable lesson, Zara. Strength isn't just about physical prowess or surviving harsh conditions. It's about facing fears, overcoming prejudices, and bringing people together. Zara felt a lump in her throat, touched by the professor's words. Thank you, Professor. That means a lot to me. Xylith's colors swirled excitedly. In fact, the Academy Board has decided to make some changes. We want to incorporate more of this human spirit into our curriculum. Would you be willing to help us design some new courses? Perhaps on resilience, adaptability, or cross-species understanding. Zara's eyes widened in surprise and delight. I'd be honored, Professor. I think that's a wonderful idea. As she left Xylith's office, Zara felt a sense of accomplishment greater than any she had experienced before. She had come to the Galactic Academy to learn, but she had ended up teaching as well. And in doing so, she had taken a significant step towards bridging the gap between humans and the rest of the galaxy. Walking through the Academy halls, Zara smiled to herself. The scars on her body, once viewed with fear and suspicion by her alien classmates, were now seen as symbols of strength and resilience. She had shown the galaxy a new side of humanity, one that embraced challenges and grew from them. As she passed a group of alien students who waved at her cheerfully, Zara realized that she, too, had grown. She had learned to see beyond appearances, to find common ground with beings vastly different from herself. In this grand, diverse galaxy, perhaps that was the most important lesson of all. Weeks had passed since Zora's victory in the Galactic Pentathlon, and the Galactic Academy was buzzing with a new energy. The human Deathworlder had become a catalyst for change, sparking curiosity and breaking down long-held stereotypes. One sunny morning, Zara stood nervously in front of the Academy's largest lecture hall. Today was the day of her first seminar, Understanding Human Resilience, Lessons from a Death World. The hall was packed with students and faculty from all corners of the galaxy, their diverse forms filling every available space. As Zara began to speak, the hall fell silent. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I'm here to talk about Earth, about humans, and about what it means to be a Deathworlder. She took a deep breath and continued. But more than that, I want to talk about what we all have in common, no matter what planet we come from. Over the next hour, Zara shared stories of Earth's history, its triumphs and its struggles. She talked about natural disasters that had devastated cities and how humans had rebuilt stronger than before. She spoke of wars that had torn nations apart and the peace movements that had brought people together. "You see," Zora explained, pointing to a scar on her hand, "each challenge we face leaves a mark. But these marks aren't just reminders of pain. They're proof of our ability to heal, to adapt, to overcome." The audience was captivated. Blip, sitting in the front row, raised a pseudopod. "But Zara, doesn't facing so much danger and pain make humans angry, violent?" Zora smiled softly. "Sometimes, yes. We're not perfect, but more often it makes us compassionate. When you know what it's like to suffer, you're more likely to help others who are suffering." She went on to share stories of human kindness, of strangers risking their lives to save others during disasters, of communities coming together to support each other in times of need. As the seminar progressed, more students began to ask questions. They were curious about everything: Earth's ecosystems, human culture, even the concept of pets. Crix, the four-armed athlete Zora had competed against, spoke up. "You said humans keep smaller, weaker animals as companions. Why not just eat them?" Laughter rippled through the room, but Zara answered seriously. "Because companionship, love, and loyalty are as important to us as physical strength. Our bonds with our pets teach us empathy and responsibility." The questions kept coming, and Zara answered each one patiently. She could see understanding dawning in the eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, of her audience. Towards the end of the seminar, Professor Glylith stood up. "Zara, you've shown us that humans are far more complex than we ever imagined. But tell us, what have you learned from us?" Zora paused, considering the question carefully. "I've learned so much," she began. "I've learned that strength comes in many forms, that there are countless ways to adapt to challenges. But most importantly, I've learned that despite our differences, we all share a desire to learn, to grow, and to connect with others." She looked around the room, meeting the gaze of various alien species. "In a way, we're all Deathworlders. We all face challenges unique to our worlds, our species. But it's how we face those challenges, how we support each other, that truly matters." As the seminar came to a close, the hall erupted in a cacophony of alien sounds, the equivalent of applause from dozens of different species. Zara felt a warmth in her chest, a sense of accomplishment greater than any military victory. Later, as she was leaving the hall, Zara was approached by a group of students. Blip, Zix, Crix, and others gathered around her, their eyes, or equivalent organs, shining with excitement. "Zara," Blip bubbled, "we've been talking. We want to learn more about Earth, about humans. Would you be willing to teach us some human skills?" Crix nodded enthusiastically, his scales shimmering. "Yes, like how you prepare for challenges. And perhaps we could teach you some of our skills in return." Zara grinned, her heart swelling with joy. "I'd love that. We could start a cultural exchange club. Learn from each other, challenge our preconceptions." As the group excitedly discussed plans for their new club, Zara looked around the bustling hallway of the Galactic Academy. She saw aliens of all shapes and sizes, no longer viewing her with fear or suspicion, but with curiosity and friendship. She had come here as an ambassador for Earth, hoping to bridge the gap between humans and the rest of the galaxy. Now she realized she had become something more, a bridge of understanding, connecting diverse species through shared experiences and mutual respect. As Zara joined her new friends, ready to embark on this new adventure of cultural exchange, she knew that the scars on her body now told a new story. They were no longer just a testament to human resilience, but a symbol of the bonds that could be forged across the stars, connecting all sentient beings in their shared journey of growth and discovery.